Hello everybody, welcome back to Really Good Crochet. My name's Ali and today we're making the next square in our Simple Pleasures Crochet Along blanket. And today it's the turn of the single crochet two together stitch. Now the stitch count for this is going to surprise you because it's going to be a lot less than you might think, and I'll show you why as we go. So it's a lovely, relatively dense stitch, and it also creates a lovely pattern if you do a colour change, and I'll show you that also as we go, so that you can, if you want to do colour changes for your square, you can do that as well. Now the count for the square, the stitch count for the square is 32 plus 1. And as I say, I'll show you why as we go. Now you might because this can be at any number stitch count, you might find that you need it to be 33 plus 1 or 31 plus 1, depending on your yarn, your hook size and your personal tension. So you might need to experiment a little bit with this one, but let me show you how we go at what we're doing as we go. So we start with our slip knot onto our hooks. I'm going to be using a size 5 hook today, and I'm going to chain up 17, that's 16 plus 1, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and plus 1 is 17. There we go. I'm just going to move you in a little bit more closely. Now we're working into our back bunts. You can work into the chain if you would prefer. That's absolutely fine. The crochet police are not going to come and get you. Now we never count the chain that is on our hook. We only count the fully formed chains hanging down from the hook. We're going to make single crochets along our chain, starting in the second chain from our hook. That's 1 and 2. That's 1 single crochet into that first chain, 1 single crochet into the next chain, and 1 single crochet into every chain down the row, and that's your setup row. And then what I'm going to do when we get to the end of this setup row is I'm going to just very quickly measure it out. Don't need a yarn over, do I? Making single crochets. Although I'm based in the UK, I do use US stitch terminology. So these are double crochets if you're using UK stitch terminology. If you do need to slow me down as we're going along, if you're using your mobile phones, go to the cogwheel that's in the top right hand corner there, and if you're following along on your laptop, and you need the cogwheel in the bottom right hand corner down there. Now this is one of those stitches where you can pretty much use any colour yarn. They're great. It's a great one for self-striping yarns. If you want to change, it's really good for changing your yarn colour every 2 rows, but also using solid colours. Now we like to take our time around here, as anyone who's been here before will know, partly because I'm old and I creak, but also because the world outside is always rushing about, and it's always nice to have an excuse to just grab a cup of coffee, a crochet hook, and just take a little bit of time away from the madness of the world. So let's make that last for as long as possible. Nice soft yarn and a little bit of hooking. Okay, so there we go. Now what I'm going to do very quickly is I'm just going to have a quick measure of that. You'll see why in a bit. So that little chain is just short of 4 inches long. Okay. Now, chain 1 and turn. So this is where we're going to start making our 2 together stitch. So, into the first stitch, pop in your hook, grab the yarn, pull up a loop, 2 loops on your hook, now stop. Come along to the second stitch, under both loops, pop in your hook, grab the yarn, pull up a loop, you have three loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. Now, starting in the stitch that you've just made your last stitch in, so straight back into that stitch again, pop in your hook, grab the yarn, pull up a loop, 2 loops on the hook, come along to the next stitch, into both loops, pop in your hook, grab the yarn, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. And that's how you're going to repeat that stitch all the way down the row. So, back into that stitch that you've just finished from, back into that stitch there, pop in your hook, grab the yarn, pull up a loop, 2 loops on the hook. Now come into that next stitch, pop in your hook, grab the yarn, pull up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. We're going to keep doing that all the way down the row into the stitch that you've just come into, pull up a loop, then into the next one along, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. So back into that stitch that you've just finished in, grab the yarn, pull up a loop, then into that next stitch, grab the yarn, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. And keep doing that all the way down to the end of the row. I have a stray hair that's annoying me very slightly. There we go. So remember, you're always starting in the stitch that you finished, just finishing. Finished your last stitch in. Start where you finish. It's very simple, very sweet little stitch, good for scarves, good for baby blankets, good for cushion covers. Start where you finish the last stitch. You can always tell when it's springtime because there's always extra busyness outside. People with their saws and their gadgets. So, we're just coming up to the end. Now, make sure to get the 2 loops at the end of the row. And then once you put that last 2 together in, put 1 single crochet in at the end to keep your stitch count correct. Always put 1 single crochet in right at the end there. Now, I'm going to measure this again. We should find, yep, it's now almost 5 inches long. It's grown an inch, which is why the stitch count is a little bit less than the others. So we're going to do another row, and at the end of this row we are going to change colours. That's what it looks like on the back. So just as before, chain one and turn, pop in your hook, grab the yarn, pull up a loop, into the next stitch, grab the yarn, pull up a loop, and then start the next stitch where you've just finished your last stitch. Carry on like that, right down to the end of the row, and I'll see you down at the end of the row where we'll change colour. Okay, so nearly at the end of the row. Done my last two together stitch, and I'm going to do my single crochet. Pull up a loop, stop, cut off a tail, leaving enough with a long end to weave in later. There would be me tripping up over my words again. Put the end of your new yarn over your hook and pull through to finish the stitch. And then you can tighten down both of those ends, chain one and turn. And now you can carry on as before. Ooh. Mm-hmm. In there. That's better. Whilst I am very thankful that my disability doesn't yet stop me from crocheting, I know one day it will. So I'm making the most of it whilst I can. Carry on down the end of the row, making our single crochet 2 togethers. I will meet you down at the end of the row. Okay, so just coming to the end of the row now. And we will not forget to pop in our single crochet to keep our stitch count correct. Chain 1 and turn. And then you, sorry about that, knocking you around there. Tusk, tusk. And then you can carry on. You can change your colours every couple of rows. You can keep it solid colour. It is, of course, entirely up to you. Very pretty. I do enjoy this stitch. It's quite a popular stitch at the moment, actually. Kind of see why. Though, tend to see it being demonstrated with DK yarn. So, there we have, a minute, there we go, you can go away. There we have our single crochet 2 together, which is the one square where we have that slightly odd stitch count. I will show you how you will still be able to join your square to all of the other squares, even with that slightly odd stitch count. It won't matter. You will still be able to add your square, join your square without any issues. It's fine. We have tricks and tips and workarounds for that one. It's not a problem, but it is a very pretty square, so that's why I put it in. So there we go. Hope you enjoyed making that particular square. The next square will be another 2 together. This time it's using a 2 together with both the single and the extended single crochet on the back loop, which is very pretty too. Enjoy your crocheting, my darlings. Have a lovely, lovely weekend. Take care. Bye bye.